Good evening. We've been getting lots of emails over the past several days about people wanting to know what happened at Montgomery High School.
Rumors spread like wildfire about a brutal hazing incident involving the football team, but it hasn't been easy getting answers.
Especially frustrating for parents looking for answers. Matt Doherty is live in Montgomery with what he found out tonight. Matt?
Yeah, guys, it has not been easy trying to get information on what exactly happened out here. Parents and students say that teachers have instructed them not to speak with anyone. Here's what we know. Last week, the school district's police chief confirmed a possible assault was being investigated, involving several students and one victim. The chief said the alleged incident did not happen at the high school. The case was then turned over to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. I reached out to them today to get an update on the investigation. They have not responded. Today, the Montgomery County School District announced the high school would forfeit Friday night's game due to allegations of misconduct by student athletes. We went to speak to the superintendent this afternoon, but we were told he was not available. These are just a few of the numerous comments and emails we've gotten about the alleged hazing incident. Until tonight, very few parents have been willing to speak about any of this with us. Parents told us their children were threatened with in-school suspension if they discussed the alleged incident on or off campus. One mother told us her son was horrified when he saw a video of the hazing incident at school. She says it's made the rounds among the student body. The details of what she claims was recorded are too graphic to describe on TV. She tells us she's learned after speaking with other parents that this same hazing ritual at Montgomery High School has been happening for years. Now, as far as we know, there have not been any arrests related to these allegations. Parents are telling us that some of these students were actually suspended. However, we have not been able to confirm that with the school district. We're live in Montgomery. Standing for Houston, I'm Matt Doherty, KHU 11 News.
And we'll keep pushing to get more answers about what happened and whether any charges will be filed. We'll be sure to update you on air, online, and on the go with our new KHU 11 app.